Hi intermediates, I hope you're practicing and listening to the stuff that I'm sending you and keeping up with your band experience. I really miss you and I miss being in band with you. It's not going to be quite the same when you're practicing with me over the phone here or over the computer, but it just makes us look forward to being together again and being able to do that in the future, and I sure hope that comes soon. Just letting you know, at this point we're not able to do the concert music, but if you would like to keep practicing, go ahead and do that, because I sure want to get that as something we can do in the future. So don't worry about that. All right, today we're going to do our C major scale. Again, this is concert, so for clarinets and trumpets we would be doing the D major scale, but this is concert C major. Working on memorization of those scales. 62 and 64, and then we have a bunch of things to talk about with respect to the songs that we're going to be playing. So we're going to start with C major, and I'm going to go at a moderate speed. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... If I'm going too fast, feel free, practice that on your own, slower until you can play with me. Percussionist, yes, you should know that on your bells, but if you want to play also accompaniment with your snare drum, there's a lot of really challenging rhythms in the back of the book for these scales. So make sure you know them on your bells though as well, because we will have a test on that when we're together later. All right, let's go to number 62. And you see we have a tempo, allegretto, which is slightly slower than allegro. And what is our time signature? Hopefully you have been studying a little bit of cut time. And remember, cut time is where you have everything in half, 2 counts in each measure. Half note gets 1 count. It's also called alla breve, but I don't see that a whole lot as a musician, but it's known as that. Our dynamics, let's look at that. Mezzo piano, then we have a mezzo forte, and a little crescendo, first ending, second ending. Make sure you repeat back to the beginning, and it's going to be soft when you repeat back. Again, think about cut time as a fast 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then as you get better, you can think about it 1 and 2 and. So 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Okay. Now let's talk about those lines over the notes. I have to be honest, I, as a musician, have always heard legato and tenuto as being very much similar, and that legato lines can also be, or lines can also be legato. But I looked and I saw specifically, this is what musicians know, tenuto are those lines that are on the notes. They're not legato lines apparently, but I know a lot of musicians confuse them. So these are tenuto lines, and it means to sustain fully. So make them long, lengthen them. If you see the word legato, that means play everything smoothly, and you can see why they are very similar. So in this case, it doesn't say legato, but it has a lot of tenuto lines under the notes. So we don't play it very short, even though this is a dancey kind of song. It's a march. It's by John Philip Sousa, and hopefully in your listening, you've been hearing some Sousa songs. If you haven't, they are coming up, so make sure you listen to those. All right, so we're going to start High School Cadets March Go for Excellence number 62 a little fast. Da, 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 da. Okay, again, feel free to pause me and practice slow until you can play up to tempo with me. 1, 2, 1. All right, and I think I've tongued all the notes right before the first ending, but you might notice they are slurred up to the first beat there, so be careful on that and don't do what I just did. Let's go to 64. 64 is on the next page. Danish roll. This is fun. Danish folk song. So we get to try that out. And you'll see some things about the map, following the map, DC al fine at the end. So that means you go to the end, and then DC means da capo. Capo means head, and da means to, so to the head, and the head is the beginning, the top of the note, the top of the song. And then you'll see fine at the end of the first line. So we go follow that map, look at some accents, lots of accents in here actually. And we start on mezzo piano, and at the second line, make sure we get forte. Percussion again, I invite you practice on bells and snare. One thing you can do on snare to stay really even and in time is to count out loud, moving your lips while you are practicing. Make sure you're alternating your sticking as well. All right. So we're going to think about this in 2 again. 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Okay? Here we go. And again, stop me afterwards if it's too fast. Practice it, then see if you can play with me. Here we go. Ready, and... I've ever played that song. All right, and hopefully you looked at your key signature as well. Clarinets, trumpets, lots of F sharps in there, and flutes and trombone. No, we don't have any trombones in our band. Flutes. Remember, no E flats, just B flat. Okay, and let's finish up by talking about a couple more terms. Staccato. We've seen this before on O Susanna, I think. And it looks like a dot under the note or straight on top of the note, meaning short and detached. And 2/4 time, we've talked about that before. Quarter note gets the beat, and 2 beats per measure. So work on remembering that. Then an interesting word, texture. Texture is difficult to explain in music. They say it has to do with the melody and the accompaniment and what that sounds like. Well, that kind of just sounds like the music. So what I put down is it's akin to touching a surface. So if you touched sandpaper, what would that feel like? If you touched silk, what would that feel like? If you petted a bunny, what would that feel like? And so texture is kind of like describing music and how it feels that way. But it is basically describing the melody and the accompaniment. But you could have something like smooth or soft or flowing or jagged or jumpy. Those would all be texture words. And then another way of describing what's going on is when you have just one melody going, one sound going, or everybody's playing the same exact thing. That's called monophony. And then you have polyphony. And polyphony is where you have multiple lines going. And usually, in our case, what we know so far is melody and harmony. All right, those are the terms. Keep practicing, and I will see you next time.